now we go there. Once we go to make moksha, which is the destination. Yeah. So here I want to open up for a few minutes for discussion. So what do we think here? This abstract concept called the moksha, is it a destination or is it a state of the jiva's consciousness, or is it both? So what do we think here? So any contributors here, please? Harish.
Yeah, it's a state in my view, because there's this concept of jivana moksha also. So it is, I guess, possible to have that, in this plane of existence.
Okay, thank you, Harish. Anybody else has a different view?
Yes,
I
number
think
two.
it is both, isn't it? Because we are trying to go to moksha, so it is a destination, or our purushartha. So that is a journey towards moksha. And
Thank you.
then the consciousness that you experience in moksha is a state.
Yeah. Thank you, Deval. Excellent. Pragnesh?
I think it could be both.
Yeah. Thank you for all three contributors. I agree with all of you, and I think the view there is it is both. So Harish, it's both a destination and a state as per our scriptures. Yeah. So now the destination, which is a non-material destination, and a state which is a non-material state. Okay. So this is such an abstract thing that our Indian philosophers have actually been thinking about these problems for thousands of years. So what I have done here is, instead of going to the specifics, I just want to open up your interest to go and do your own research in various Indian philosophies and what views they have. I'll take you through in the next 2-3 minutes. So Indian philosophies, as you know, broadly is Astika or Nastika. So Astika means that which is based on the Vedas. Nastikas are the ones that are not based on the Vedas. Okay. So let's do the Nastika ones first. So the first one, the Nastika, is the Charvakas, the materialists like you and me, who are going through this world at this point of time. What does the Charvaka state? The Charvakas are very clear. They said, look, this world is real, but the consciousness is a mixing up of all the material things that is there. So there is nothing called the jiva, there is nothing called the God. There are the real material things. They mix up and form a soup that forms the body, and that mixing up of the soup becomes the brain, and that becomes the mind, and then you feel consciousness. So that is all is the Charvaka view. At least they are better than some other schools. At least they have accepted that the world out there is real and matter is real. Yeah, for that, up to that extent, I think I'll give a few brownie points to them. But according to them, there is no moksha. There is nothing called as a state of liberation. You are here, you live once, you enjoy, and then you finish. Afterwards, gone, nothing left. That is it. You're finished. That is Charvaka view.
That's like a modern science, isn't it? Modern
That
science
is
is
modern science. Yeah, absolutely. So that is Charvaka view. Then on the other end, you have the Buddhism. Okay? Buddhism is no different from Charvaka. The only thing is, in Buddhism, the material world is an illusion. Yeah. And the illusory combination of this illusory material world, the Panchaskandhas as it's called, somehow becomes the world, the body. And the consciousness is just a mixing up of these illusory things that are existing momentarily. Okay. That is Buddhism, the modern day Buddhism. And again, there is nothing called liberation or moksha there. So once you are finished, yeah, once the illusory things are gone, then you reach a state of Mahasunyata, as it's called. Mahasunyata means the big complete emptiness. Yeah, God only knows what it is, but the big complete emptiness is called Mahasunyata, which is the liberation, where again it is a big zero. It is nothing. So it is similar to Charvaka in that view. You cannot say nothingness, complete nothingness exists. Yeah, that is, as we discussed before, self-contradictory. You cannot say complete nothingness exists. Yeah, that feels self-contradictory. But at least Charvakas are slightly better. They have accepted the material world as real. But our Buddhist friends feel material world is an illusion. Okay. Now, in between those,
what about Buddhism saying about rebirth?
so these are all interesting concepts, karma, rebirth, and all that. Everything is illusory. There is no reality to it. So the concepts are there, Sudarshan, but epistemologically and ontologically, they do not have the kind of approach that the Vedantists have. Yeah. So as I said before, everybody is entitled for their views of how they view the world, but that is the Buddhist view. So even the karma is illusion. Even the reincarnation, I don't know how an illusionary things can reincarnate. I can't figure it out. But that is
You
their
said,
view.
Madhu, you said about something about the original Buddhism saying something different and
Yeah. So that one probably for another day.
That's
The
fine.
Vishnu Avatara. What was his philosophy? Buddha as Vishnu's Avatara. That is different. We are talking about the Mahayana, Vijnanavada, Theravada, and all those kind of various strands of Buddhism that exist. Okay. So those are the two extremes, and in between you have the Jainism. Jainism, as you know, is Nastika because it doesn't take evidence from the Vedas. It's a very ancient philosophy. It's been there all along. And there have been a lot of discussions and argumentation between Vedantic philosophers and Jain philosophers, for example. But here is the take of Jainist philosophy. World is real. Souls are real. There is no God. There is only souls. They are real. The world is real. The moksha from a Jain's perspective is eternal flight of the jivas. There is no destination for the jivas that they go and stay there in bliss, whatever. It is an eternal flight of a bird. That is the comparison. It is just, they are just flying. That is their moksha. Their state of liberation is they've separated themselves from samsara and they're constantly flying and having a good time flying with no destination. So that is the Jain view. I hope you find that interesting from Nastika schools. If you go to Astika schools, based on Vedas and the Upanishads, evidence picked from this, and we know there is Sankhya and Yoga, Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Purva Mimamsa, Uttara Mimamsa, which is Vedanta. And I've given you all these gurus, the fathers of all these systems. So just in a nutshell, for Sankhya and Yoga schools, they are realistic schools. World is real. Okay. In Nirishwara Sankhya, there is no God. Whereas in Sa Ishwara Sankhya, there is this guy called God who has some role to play. But in both these schools, they accept the jivas. They're called purushas. But the state of liberation in these schools is eradication of suffering alone. Okay. There is no positive experience of bliss in moksha. Yeah. Similarly, Nyaya and Vaiseshika, they are also realistic schools. They accept everything is real and existing. And for them again, moksha means it is just the negation of suffering, but not a positive experience of bliss. If you look at a Purva Mimamsa, the ritualists who just do yajnas, for them who cares about moksha? Let me do a fire sacrifice, let me go to Swarga and enjoy, come back again and do the same thing. Yeah. So they are very happy with their ritualistic behavior and the pleasure they get out of this. If you come to Vedanta, then it becomes even more interesting. So in Vedanta, you have Mayavada, which is nowadays called Advaita. Then you have Visishta Advaita. Then you have Tattvavada. There are three strands primarily, and there are other offshoots, as you know. So if you look at Vishishta, let's talk about Mayavada first. In Mayavada, we know that the world is not real, is unreal. Jivas are unreal. Jivas are the same as Brahman, but Brahman is nirguna, qualityless. Yeah. So in that sense, if, for example, our union with Brahman, the realization that we are Nirguna Brahman is the moksha, and we have dealt with this before. But that state of Nirguna Brahmatva actually is Nirguna, which has got no content for us to feel. It is a contentless consciousness, is the classic definition of Nirguna Brahma. And if we are Nirguna Brahma, you're looking at a contentless consciousness. Okay. In that sense, the strain of Mahasunyata and Nirguna Brahman are very similar. Yeah. And there are a lot of similarities when you study this, when you study these philosophies. Very similar to Buddhism is the Mayavada. For example, Mahasunyata is very similar to Nirguna Brahman. The Samrita Satyam of Buddhism is the Anirvachaniya Satya of Mayavada. There are all sorts of similarities, and if you want to go deep into that, it's a very interesting area for you to study. So from a Mayavada's perspective, Moksha is actually a state of contentless, yeah, consciousness. Yeah, the concept of eternal bliss in Maya Veda is self-contradictory. We can take it up in Q&A if necessary. Then you have the Visishtadvaita and Tattvavada schools. So these schools, they feel world is real, jivas are real. There is this fellow called Brahman who is real. Brahman is different, jivas are different, and the moksha for the jivas is the companionship with the Brahman. And in that state, they not only lose, it is not only the complete negation of pain and suffering, but it is also a positive state of experience of bliss. Yeah, so these are all the various spectrums of views on moksha that is available within Indian philosophies. So which one do you take as the right version of this? I will leave it to you. HinduKnowledgeAcademy.com will celebrate Vedic culture and present its philosophies to the modern Hindu in an accessible format. Our ancient heritage is our greatest strength. Through preservation and dissemination, together let us spread positivity in the world. Thank you for listening and welcome to Hindu Knowledge Academy.